Hey guys, welcome to round 9 NRL Fantasy Buy Hold Sell. An eventful week in week 8. Ryan, run us through how the top 1,000 went.
Yeah, good week. I think in the pretty similar to the week before, top 1,000, but yeah, a lot of people getting really good scores. Obviously, thanks to one Terrell May mainly. Um, so yeah, I mean, 12.8 million salary cap. I've seen some squads in the low 13s already as well, which is pretty insane. But yeah, sort of staying in touch there though.
Yep, 23 trades left. I am, I think, on 25, so beating the par. Moving on to the trades I did for last week. Going through quickly here. I did Savala and Couchman in for Sandon and Gilbert, which looked like very good trades on paper, but ironically, I actually would have had a better week if I didn't do these trades, which is a bit disappointing, but hopefully this sets me up well for the future. If Gilbert continues the way he has been going off last week, it's a bit painful because I am low in mids at the moment. But I can't complain. I had most definitely the best week I've ever had in fantasy. 1,002 ranked for the rounds, moving me into a new record of 4,611. And like you touched on, captaining May was the right decision. I think a lot of people were concerned early in the round. Haas went for 97. We're like, oh shit, we've made the wrong decision, but definitely made the right decision there. Also Teddy firing and Fogarty firing as well, which is very nice. Weekly move up about 6,000 ranks, and a quick look on trade history. Been relatively conservative, and I'm going to continue that into this round. I'm actually not planning on doing any trades. I have no easy pivots right now other than Rob Toya. I am noting that I need mids and hooker for round 12, and I'm thinking Ian Haas goes, maybe Cleary goes, probably Terrell to stay, just off the back of that comment Benji Marshall made about how he's complaining he was off for 5 minutes. Means he's probably going to fly Aaron back up. I'm tempted by Drinkwater and Erin Clarke, but I just don't know if I can get there. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Cleary?
Yeah, so I see, like it's right. It's rough. It's like he's still actually a bit undervalued. I think he's averaging 64. If you take out that one day we got HIA, and so he's still a good half to have, but got him obviously at least 3 and probably 4 out of 7 games. So it just comes down to, can you get enough value in replacing him and you get enough points kind of with someone else? Obviously, I know someone that we've talked about is Hughes, who still has to kind of pick up his own scoring himself. But Munster should miss quite a few games and not back up well, because Melbourne's fixture isn't that great for them to back up. So he's obviously a great option. I think right now it's about 200k cheaper as well, which is great for sort of balancing that cash out for the rest of your team. But I don't know. Obviously, if you're a case when you got some trade save, it's fine to sort of trade someone out and then bring them back in. Yeah. If you're a bit lower though, it's probably a bit rough to sort of trade 2 or more of those guys out that you've got there.
Yeah, I'm definitely not doing Cleary before round 12, but they do have the buy. And then the Origin, obviously. That's my, yep. They have the buy and then Origin. And then, like you mentioned to me before, they'll be in Perth and then they'll be off to New Zealand, right?
Yep.
So
around 16, yeah.
Possible, unlike it's probable that he won't back up, especially with how poor performing Penrith have been. They might just sit him, but I guess we'll wait and see. That's a worry for the future. Let's move on to your hot.
Yeah, so I mean, quite a good week as well, but I'm obviously unfortunately not quite as good as you. Good trades at the time, but kind of funny now. Stewart's been named at lock for the Dragons. That's fun this week. And then Safar and Shibasaki both outdid their break even, so not ideal. But obviously, yeah, none of those guys played around 12. I bought in 3 guys. I could keep for quite a while and did score well anyway. So it's not too bad when it comes down to it.
You still have 28 trades?
That's wrong. I think actually it's 25 after those 3.
Okay, so same as me then, 25.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just got the looping wrong, unfortunately. So even though I kept Smith, I missed out on the 75. Got Toya's 24 in the end, which is a bit shit, to be honest. So I mean, what if I got Smith's score instead of Toya's, would end up in the 1100s. So, I mean, been unfortunate, but can't really complain though. And finally, still making some good progress back towards the top. What's that about? Up about, I think, like 8,000, 9,000 in the last 2 weeks. So hopefully that trend keeps on going. Yeah, yeah. Obviously great history there as well. 2 more trades that used to new, I think, is the accurate one there, but similar team value. So I'm not too upset with that. And then trades this week is 2 again. Initially going into the week, I only thought about going Jenkins to Smith, but just the opportunity to get Clarke in now when he's still a little bit of value, I think is just tempting me in a lot. I had Watson to Drinkwater as well on my mind, just to please. Well, we'll discuss him later as well. But yeah, I mean, I think I actually bank about 50 to 60K with these 2 trades, and both of them obviously play around 12 and 13. So it kind of is just planning for the future a little bit. Getting in 2 players was scoring very well right now.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that's the plan there. Still going to sort out the looping with Garrick and how much I trust Katonga. That's kind of the main question.
Yeah.
But we'll see about that.
All right, let's move on to some buy, hold, sells. I guess we briefly touched on some of them. We'll get to them. But first, let's talk about Savala. Not much to talk about. I guess he started off last week in finally break-even territory that made him a buy, and he's absolutely smashed it. His best performance of the year so far. If you didn't get him last week, you have to get him this week. I think it's a no-brainer. Cash down, has a good buy schedule. Get him in. Don't even think about it.
He's got a Drinkwater. Still a great price right now, and he's always been only average as 50, right? But this year he's gained that goal kicking. So after a few rough first games, his price now is at that 50 mark. So he's someone I'm really still quite, considering quite strongly this week. But I just don't know if I can get him in. And it's an unfortunate thing where if you wait 3 weeks now till around 13 after their buy, he could be an extra 60 to 70K more expensive. And at that point, it's a bit tougher to bring him in. So if you are set on fullbacks or with fullbacks for around 12, I think he's one of the best buys of the week.
Cool. And you said to me before he's top 3? He's in the top 3 of average for wing fullbacks this year.
Yeah. He's snuck up now to the top 3. Obviously, not including Campbell. Yeah, top 3 fullback so far this year. So it's in a pretty rough position to get someone who's averaging clearly quite well. It is huge.
Yeah, I guess no one's been talking about him. He might come onto the radar in the near future. Don't know if Nanai is necessarily a buy, just with concerns of origin, but I think you can't ignore him at this price. And now that he's starting, it's sort of a similar vibe to me as how David Fafita was a few weeks ago. Was on the bench, was losing value, and is now starting. I think Nanai is definitely more likely to play origin than Fafita. Yeah, look, not the best buy for planning with buy schedules, but if your team has the flexibility and in need of an edge, is a decent option right now.
Yeah, Ryley Smith, again, it's sort of similar to Erin Clarke, who was featured next, where it's kind of like one of the last weeks to get him because, if he does well, scores like a 35 this week, he'll be up around 380K, and then you kind of start to lose the potential to get any real value out of him. I think playing 80 minutes, which it seems like he will do now, especially with the bench that they've gone for, I reckon an average between that 35 to 40 mark, which gets you between 7 to 12 points of value. So obviously plays around 12, someone that you just keep the next 6 weeks, hopefully gets to around mid to high 400Ks, and then you can sell them on to whoever you want. But great option. Obviously, looking around 12 is a bit rough. So it's a pretty safe play for now.
He's not someone I would have originally thought of, but you make a good point for him. Especially now that Hopgood is not starting as hooker. He's looking like he's set in the 13 role. Moses is back. Smith has always been, sort of in my eyes, that guy that's just going to slowly gain cash throughout the year, and I think that'll almost maybe accelerate a little bit now.
Do you?
If anything, you're tempting me to try and pivot Toya and off and get Smith and then go for Erin. So yeah, that's the thing.
It comes down to a lot of just team composition, right? And you do need Olga for round 12. And you've got Toya, you've got, I don't know, Jenkins, someone like that who you're not too happy with. It's a pretty easy cash, well, not a huge cash down, but make a little bit of cash, get someone who's pretty reliable in a pretty steady role. So
watch Toya go fire. I put Sandy sell last week and he gets 75 and yeah, it hurts, but what can you do? Man of the hour, Erin Clarke, who we're talking about. I was looking at him originally and I think I sort of convinced you, and now if anything you're more well rehearsed on what's going on with him. But just with that low quality in mids available for round 12, I saw he was a good option, low break even. With James Fisher-Harris out, his minutes has gone up and his break even, his PPM has been through the roof, and it's going to continue while James Fisher-Harris is out. I think another thing to consider is Mitch Barnett might play Origin and might see his minutes maintain around that 60 mark. And I think if he does maintain around that 60 mark, he'll keep that 1 ppm. He'll be getting you 60 points a week.
yeah, and like historically, it's not a huge sample size, but across the last 3 years in playing lock at the Titans, his PPM's always just been good for some reason. So, runs the ball a ton, which helps you get tackle breaks and offload. So he's scoring well. His break even is so low now. It's just kind of like it was just kind of like rise up, just see on those price rises pretty easily for the next 3-4 weeks. And so even if he does end up losing some minutes when Fisher-Harris comes back and then if Barnett doesn't make Origin, he's still going to be probably around mid to high 700k by round 15 and still score you well enough to play in rounds 12 and 13, right? So yeah, I mean, obviously it is funny. I was kind of against him initially and then you kind of got me onto him. But I just think it's a pretty safe play. And again, like everyone needs mids. So to get someone who's probably 100k undervalued, obviously on how he's playing right now, maybe not how he's playing in 5 rounds time, but right now quite undervalued, seems like a pretty good option.
Very persuasive. I might be tempted to copy in a similar strategy to you this week after your persuasion. Both Fermor is our final buy of the week. I think very similar to Nanai, I guess, just a good price for what he is at the moment, a good break even, but not necessarily relevant for buy planning. But if someone goes out and gets 100 fantasy points, you can't ignore them.
Yeah, I mean, I probably still prefer Dylan Lucas as a buy right now, even though he's, I think, 50k more expensive. But like he's undervalued. Going to make up a lot of cash in the next 3 weeks. So if you don't buy him now, you probably can't buy him at all.
Yeah,
so it's up to you, Ebert.
I think a lot of people's long-term teams involve Lucas and Fermor in center.
Yeah.
It's all dependent on your team composition. I think I've gone out and chased a lot of wing fullbacks and centers because I was struggling there, and it's paid out well for me. But it also makes it less of an option now for me to chase someone like Fermor, which is unfortunate. But he's definitely a good option considering certain variables in your team.
Yep, sure.
All right, that's all for buys. On to holds. You want to kick us off with Mr. Katoga?
Yeah. Everyone's favorite center in the game. It's I think you have to just trade the game as an outlier, right? Like you can't just like sell him now. Also, if you held him last week, you'd probably hold him this week as well. So I think it's possible that he might end up on the same side as Moses now with them switching up the second rowers. So look, I don't know whether or not he's enough of a hold to start it, but you definitely got to just see how it goes. He still is kind of helpful in my plan, sort of, for round 12. Whether or not he makes it there in terms of value, I don't know, but it's definitely helpful now and see how he plays.
Yeah, I think he's a hold, and you'll loop him carefully. I don't think you'd want to start him and you tear him after his performance. On to Egan. I see you've got the asterisk there. I assume that means you think he is going to be a sell possibly soon, but obviously not yet. Is that what you're thinking as well?
I'll just put it as I think if you bought him at 230 around around 2 or around 3 or at 260 and you made over 200k from him, I think you probably can sell him this week pretty happily. But obviously I bought him 2 rounds ago for 400k, and obviously I'm still sort of wanting a bit more cash out of him. So I think that's kind of plays into the part of it in terms of being a hold or a sell.
Yeah, I'm going to go out there and say I disagree. I think with the starting role he has now, I don't think he will be a sell. He did have a lower score last week. I guess if he consistently has some lower scores, maybe he does become a sell. But I think it's definitely worth considering that his price might be peaking soon. And that's also a possibility for Hubner, who is our next hold. He's had a bit of a rough run with injuries. It screwed us over because we had him and he got the HIA. But he has a low break even. He's been doing good, putting out good points. Hopefully he keeps the minutes.
Yeah, I'm actually starting on the bench right now, according to TRT, but that could change later on. So he's someone I'm definitely keep this week because obviously, like, there's no point selling him really. But next week, if he starts on the bench again, I think probably will be a sell. Will be a sell. But that's fine. And then Sanders Smith, I mean, still own obviously by quite a lot. I think it's around 20% of people still own him. So it is a bit tough now. If he scores well this week, he probably can't sell him next week either. Just due to that potential, cash generation. So it's funny. Actually, his price is 477 instead of 447.
Oh, is it?
So he could very easily get into the 500Ks this week and then be a great sell come around 12 potentially. So yeah, it's kind of funny how he's turned around the narrative on him. Oh, it just didn't bother week.
As soon as I sell him as well, I regret that. But I mean, it made sense to me at the time. You can't be mad about that. But he played very well on the game. He played so well. It's a possibility that the new combination with Savala in the halves has unleashed him, which concerns me a little bit, but we'll see. I'm definitely not going to chase him now that I've sold him. I think I just have to suck it up. Oh, for sure, yeah. Rob Toyer, I have as a hold this week. He's been a bit inconsistent. I think he has a bit more cash to make. I think he can go soon, and I think he's that guy this week that is the pivot if you want to try and get someone else. But I did say that last week about Sandon, so maybe don't trust me. Maybe you can say it just in case.
Well, that's why the asterisk is there. Like, if that gets you to a Drinkwater, a Clarke, then I don't think that's a bad trade at all. Worth noting though that since Savala's come in, the ball just hasn't going to him as much. And you look at the last 4 weeks, last 3 weeks, it's 27, 41 with a try and then 24. So you take out that try line break from 2 weeks ago, and that's a 29. So scoring hasn't been there for the last 3 games. So look, it's pretty easy to hold. Break even to 37, which is quite high. But you could probably give one more week and just see how it goes.
Yeah. Like Katoga, I think I'll leave him on my bench. And then here are ourselves. We don't really need to touch on these. We just touched on Toya. The other 2 are out.
Yeah.
Both been dropped.
I'm not sure. And for actually owning Ilias, but if you do, then yeah, move on.
As always, if you guys have any trades that you're not too sure on, or you just want to see what we have to say, chuck it in the comments below. And until next week, good luck.
Yes.